Hey there, this is Beth, your sweet urban living lady, and today is bread baking day. I'm getting ready to make another attempt at my Kamut sourdough bread using a Levain, using the new stretch and fold methods I've learned, and I'm going to add 20 grams more of water to my recipe than what I've been using. I did a video on to Levain or not to Levain, which you can see here. You can watch my entire process. And I got a lot of great feedback from my viewers. Thank you so much for everyone who gave me some feedback, gave me some pointers, gave me some tips. And the common thing was my dough is too dry. Need more water in my dough. But first I need to make my levain. And we're back. It's time to autolyze the dough. So we're going to blend the flour, the water, and the salt, not mix our levain in yet. And I want to use about 20 grams more water because my last attempts were dry. So I've mentioned that a few times. But the first thing we want to do is we want to measure the flour. So the recipe I'm using for this is by the Perfect Loaf. Let me get my scale going. It's set to grams. And then I'm going to put my bowl on. And then I'm going to click tare again so it zeroes it out. So some of you may already understand and know what to do, but if you've never used that before, that's a fabulous, awesome little feature. All right, so the first thing I need is 938 grams of flour. So I'm using pure Kamut. And for me, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to turn this around where I can read it. Hold on just a second, because it's having trouble. Some of my projects I can look over and see what it says, but some of them I'm like, I can't read that. The bowl's too big. So 938 grams of flour is what I want. We're at not quite. That was almost 670. 800. Ooh, I'm gonna have to grind some more. All right, good. I do have more. All right, that's 937. Ooh, it just tipped over to 938. Okay, so I added that a little bit more and it tipped it to 939. It doesn't take much, y'all. There we go, 938. So this is 938 grams of flour. And now I need to measure my water. And so the recipe when doing the autolyze step, the recipe from the Perfect Loaf says to use 603 grams of water, holding back 50 grams until the next step. Well, okay, I'm going to do that. And then the next step, I'm probably going to add 70 grams of water so I can have a little bit moisture dough. Let me do the salt first just so I have it. Again, we're going to turn that around, do the tare to get that out, and then we need 18 grams of salt. Can y'all see that? There we go. See, this is one of those times I can look down over the little bowl and I can see how much it is, but when it's this big old bowl, I cannot see it. And that's 15. That's probably going to be more. 18. Perfecto. Okay. Now we're going to zero that out, put this cup on it, or zero that out again. So we need 603 grams of water. So the recipe calls for 653 grams of water, but right here we're going to put 603 grams of pure. This is filtered because I am on a well, so I go ahead and run it through my reverse osmosis machine. So now my measure cup shows 2 cups, and that is 485 grams. Now, help me here because 485 grams from 603 grams is 118 grams. It's a bat. All right, we're at 485 grams. We're going to need 118 grams more. But let me go ahead and, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and add the salt. And let me just show you what I'm doing here. Even though we're going to mix it with the water, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of mix the salt in. That's just me. I don't know if anybody else says to do that. I just did it. All right, so that's 485. And we need 118 more grams of water. Our scale is already tared out. The tear is already taking out. I don't think I'm speaking proper English when I say it that way. I think I'm making things up. All right, 99, 112. Okay, that was, that last little drop made it 119. So since I'm going to add a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and add the 119. And then I'm going to take my rings off. I always forget to do that. It got, the weather is making the kitchen even cooler, so it's very cool in here. I had to go put my jacket on. Okay. So you can use your sourdough whisk. You can use your hands. God created our hands for just a job as this. The sourdough whisk is really nice because then your hands don't get all messy. But either way is fine. I should have gotten my sourdough whisk out. It would have been neater. It's okay. And you can see when we look closely, look at how much powder is still left of the flour. It's just not mixing well. So it could be because my Kamut does have all of the fiber in it. We don't strip when we mill our own grains. We're not stripping any of the wonderful nutrients out. So that may be why my bread needs more water, because it still has the fiber in it, and that fiber absorbs the water. So I think I'm going to have to go ahead and see, look at that. It's still just got so much in the bottom. And that's why I'm going, we're going to have to add more. The more I research, the more I read, the more I watch other people's videos, the more I'm learning that good sourdough bread has just the right amount of water, making it not too lax, but just right. So we are getting that absorbed in. We are getting that last bit kind of pulled into the sourdough ball, which is great. Some people say leave it shaggy. I've done that. I've left it shaggy before. But this time it's a little bit more formed. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a cloth and cover this. This needs to sit for 1 hour while the levain finishes its pre-fermentation before we add it in. So I'm going to cover this up, set my timer for an hour, and then we're going to come back and add our levain in to our sourdough ball. Yay! Okay, so this next step, we're going to add our Leviathan. It's been an hour, so we're going to add our Leviathan that's been sitting over there, along with a little bit more water to our dough. So the first thing we want to do, of course, is we want to get that 50 grams more of water. All right, that's 50 more grams of water. Now we're going to add the levain. Now, y'all are going to think I can't follow a recipe at all, because every time I come on here, I'm like, oops, I did this, and oops, I did that. Well, in my defense, I'm going to say a lot of times I'm looking upside down, looking backwards, trying to read real fast. So I'm just going to throw that out there and ask that y'all please forgive me, because now I should also be adding the salt. But since the salt and the levain haven't touched until now, I'm really hoping that this is going to be okay. So get all of that in there. And get my bowl of water. So just gonna take this. And this is just so that I can keep my hands moist. All right, let's move all the extra stuff out of the way so we can see what we're doing. So, now I have not added in the extra 20 grams of water. I'm just mixing in what the recipe calls for. Oops. I got something different this time too. I mean, this is a whole lot different. Okay. So, I don't know. See, it looks a lot. Looks like I'm still having trouble getting some of that water in, but the more I move it, you know, the more. So let's see. Let's just add, because we want to do this. We want to get set up for doing the stretch and folds. So 20 grams more of water. All right, that's 20 right there. Now, I'm just going to add like a little bit of that. Okay. And now that it's, so I didn't even add the full 20. It definitely feels softer, and I want it to be able to move, right? I want it to move and stretch and be soft. So I'm going to save the other, what's probably about 10 grams, and see if I need to add it in a little bit, because this has turned out to be nice and soft. It's so interesting how a different day, a different temperature, different method, it makes it a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this. We'll do the 3 stretch and folds every 30 minutes and just see where we are. Dun, da, da, da. Our first stretch and fold for today. And look at that. You can see that the dough already looks a little more moist than what I was dealing with in my previous loaf. I didn't mean to drop the water on there, but we're going to. Wow, look at that. That's a little bit more like what the perfect loaf was getting, isn't it? If you watched any of his demonstrations on how to do your stretch and folds, that's kind of what it was looking like, wasn't it? Yay! So that was 2. Gotta keep count. Don't get distracted. Wow, look at that. 3. And 4. Okay. All right. So we're going to let this sit for another 30 minutes and do another stretch and fold. Okay, it's time for our second stretch and fold. And I'm looking at it, looking very moist. Go ahead and get my hands damp with water. This little bowl that I'm using that I grabbed, I love it, but it's a little small. Okay, so yeah, that's adding just a little bit more water is definitely making it more stretchy. More stretchy. Woo-hoo. This is 3. And number 4. So we're going to let it sit another 30 minutes and we'll come back for our final stretch and fold for the evening. Okay, we're ready for stretch and fold number 3. Again, we're looking nice and elastic. Adding that little bit more water has definitely helped, I think. So I didn't add the 20 grams that I kept saying I was going to add. But by adding the water to my hands to keep it, it's adding that little bit of water too. So, turning my bowl. It's easier to turn my bowl. If you've seen any of my other videos, the one where I did to Levain or not to Levain, I was like, oh, it's easier for me to turn the dough than it is to turn the bowl. But now that the dough is so nice and stretchy, you see that? See how stretchy that is? It's easier to turn the bowl. All right, get a little bit more water because we started getting sticky. Okay, I hope that I am doing justice to my stretch and fold. And now it is time to let this just kind of sit and finish getting structure to it. I'm trying to get it nice. Yeah, I like nice, neat little packages. So now we're just going to let that sit until about an hour and 10 minutes more. And then we'll come and do the next step, which is to add a little flour, divide it out, things like that. Okay. So it's time for our next step where we are going to divide and pre-shape our loaf. So we're going to just take some flour, spread it out on our surface. So we're just going to take this and we're going to use the little scraper. And this is our pre-shape. We're going to get a little water. That's what the perfect loaf says to do, is get a little bit of water. Kind of shape it.
Yes.
He's so good at using the the bench scraper, and I'm not quite as good as he is on it. Not quite. All right, so what we want to do is we want to take our dough and just divide it in half. And move that one there, this one here. Maybe just a little bit more flour for our surface. And then we want to pre-shape it so that it's starting to get some structure. So it says lightly round each half into a ball. And then we're going to let this just sit here to get its shape. We're just going to let it sit here so that it can get its shape for 20 minutes. Now, the perfect loaf says to leave this uncovered. So I'm just covering it because I don't want dog hair in my food. And then we're going to let this sit for about 25 minutes. And then we're going to shape it and put it into our bannetons. I have a boule and I have a batard, and that's what we'll do. and then it's going to rest overnight. So be back in 25 minutes. Now that we've done our pre-shape, we're going to take our bannetons, and I have here a batard and a boule. We're going to add some flour. So we're going to add the flour, kind of spread it around so that it's getting the sides, not just the bottom. All right. We're gonna take our bench scraper. I think this may be the point where I'm going, it might be a really good idea. I might need to add some more water to my knife, so I'm going to use my hands because that's sticky. That there. So I've turned one upside down, one regular, because guess what? I want to see what they're going to do. So we're going to leave these sitting out for 20 minutes in our plastic bags. Then I'm going to put them in the refrigerator for overnight and pull them out in the morning for shaping. See you in the morning. All right, good morning. It's the next day, and I have pulled my two dough, both my boule and my batard out, and they've been sitting for, I think I've had them out for about an hour and a half, and now my oven is preheating with the Dutch ovens, and so I'm going to do the thing where we make a pretty little decoration, maybe, with our lamb, scoring the dough. So, okay, I am not an artist, and I don't pretend to play one on TV. Okay, so now I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them in my Dutch ovens, put them in the oven, and we'll check back after they're done baking. Okay, I just pulled these out of the oven and woo, they look so good. I'm going to move these onto my cooling racks, and in a couple of hours we'll slice in and see how they did on the inside, and what they should taste great. They always taste great. But we'll slice into these and see what they look like on the inside in a couple of hours. The bread is out of the oven, and it's time to do a test to see how we turned out. I laugh at myself all the time because I'm going, oh my goodness, I forgot to put the pan underneath to keep it from being too done on the bottom. But I would like to look at this and go, look, I do have some openings, and it's softer, crunchy on the outside, and soft on the inside with some nice openings. So all in all, I'm really pleased. I feel like I'm getting better. The Levain is helping, adding a little bit more water. I would say I added about 10 grams to the recipe, and then using the water as I needed was plenty of extra water for right now. And so we'll give it another whirl. It was a cold, wet day. Maybe the next time I do this, it'll be a warmer, dry day. And we'll just see what happens then. But so far, I'm loving my Kamut sourdough bread. And again, if you have any tips or hints or things to share that will help make using ancient grains to make our sourdough bread better, leave your comments below and let me know what you think and what you're doing and how things are working out for you. I would love it if you would subscribe, click the like button, and be sure to hit the bell for notifications so that you are getting notified the next time we put out our videos. Thanks so much for joining me.